I worked, I made it, it's mine, anything else is theft.
Yeah.
Come to my house and take it.
It's amazing to me that they go out there like knowing they're going to say that, and no one stops them.
He believes it.
And
that's the scariest part.
Yeah.
Never had a real job in his life.
That level of bureaucracy and like layers and all the nonsense is like that. It breeds that type of thinking too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, this is totally fine. What fucking
What
planet
are you talking
on?
about?
Yeah.
You're a crazy person.
Yeah.
Americans don't want to keep more of their money. It's our money. It's just like what was that? I can't remember who that fucking politician was in California that said it's not your kids, they're our kids.
Oh,
they're
man.
the state's kids.
Yeah. I mean, Virginia, the governorship, the governor's race was lost because the prior governor was like, parents coming to school board meetings and speaking out are terrorists.
Right. I remember
that was the end of his political career.
Yep.
And then Youngkin won, and now we're off to the races.
Yeah.
What's up, dudes?
What's going on?
What's up, Tim?
It was spicy before the cameras.
Yeah.
The gold is kicking off just like that, man. Like we're just talking about the world is a freaking crazy place, and I can't think of anyone better to have on the podcast today to talk about it, because I have a lot of questions about you, obviously, but also like there's some current events going on right now. I was just looking up the latest in Iran, up to the moment right now. The world's a very interesting situation, I should say, right now.
Yeah, it's volatile for sure.
It is. It's crazy. But first off, I'd like to say, great to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Good seeing you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were in an airport last time that we got to shake hands, take a picture. You're looking as jacked as ever.
Oh, likewise.
And where do you get this Hulk?
Yeah, that's our resident juggernaut right there. You know, Adam is our fitness director for our health coaching program, and just resident juggernaut here in Arizona.
He doesn't recognize doors; they're just not yet, or walls; they're just not yet doors.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's
see,
a door.
Everything is a door. Maybe it just doesn't have a hinge. You know? Yeah, that's exactly right. But dude, I just wanted to start this off by saying thank you for being here. You're a great American. A lot of people have different opinions, but I don't give a shit for a bunch of different reasons. One is you've been continually putting yourself out there for years into harm's way physically, but also just like we were just talking about, just like literally getting out there and speaking your mind, which a lot of people don't even allow themselves to do these days, which is nuts because we were just talking about how crazy it is. If you drive a certain car right now, you're probably a little bit on edge. No matter who you voted for, there's a lot of crazy people in the world, and we need more people that are, especially men, that are confidently leading and standing, for what they believe in. And you've been doing that for a long time.
I try.
So I appreciate that.
Definitely imperfectly. I could phrase things better. I could, word things better. I've not been perfect, but I've tried to stand on the beautiful documents that our founding fathers wrote, the Constitution.
Yeah.
I love them, and I've been defending them my whole life by oath and swearing that I would do it in the military. And I'm going to continue to do it till the day I die. And I hope that every American now is more invigorated than ever to do just that, to be like, I'm going to take a stand for the things that I believe in.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to live out of fear. I'm not going to be pushed. I'm not going to be bullied. I'm not going to be manipulated. I'm going to know my beliefs, and I'm going to fight for them.
Yeah, I think more people are doing that now,
I think so too.
Especially because COVID had a reverse effect that I think whoever made it happen wanted. Because a lot of people are like, oh shit, that's what happens if we let them go too far? No, we can't do that anymore. Even if it's not about vaccines or lockdowns or anything, it's just like general government control. A lot more people are more like this these days, thankfully.
They did not recognize the ripple effect.
Oh no, they totally fucked it up.
Education now, as we're looking at defunding the Department of Education because of what happened during COVID.
Right.
On Kennedy now as the Secretary of
HHS,
Health and Human Services,
How
the
rad is
second
that?
largest organization in the United States government.
Right.
17 agencies, 30,000 employees, CDC, FDA, NIH, and he's like, you guys messed up.
Can you believe we got him, Tulsi, and Cash?
I can't believe.
That's
I can't
freaking
believe.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
And Dan
Hegseth.
Bongino.
Hegseth too,
Dan
yeah.
Bongino.
Yeah.
Oh
man,
Joe
Bongino.
Kent.
I'm so fired up for that. Yeah.
The list. This is the Avengers,
Yes.
and half of which were Democrats. I'm not like this Republican. I'm absolutely a constitutionalist, a libertarian, a conservative.
Yeah.
But like I'm not this a party affiliated person. And when you look at the current cabinet, you see a cross section of former party members, Democrats, libertarians, like true Kennedy era Democrats.
Right.
And they're all like, freedom, dude.
Right.
We're coming for it.
And Who else? Like the top tech guy on the planet.
Yeah, Elon Musk is
coming in there
tear.
with his guys, with his AI, and just rescued astronauts yesterday. Like you
9
named it. Like
months.
this is the Avengers team.
Yeah,
Like,
9
it really
months in
is.
space, and
It's supposed to be 8 days, I think.
Yep. But
Whoops.
nowhere near enough. I'll just call a spade.
Yeah.
I voted for radical change.
Yeah.
And we have change without a doubt.
Yep.
And we have a whole bunch of people that have been appointed and now confirmed to see this change through.
Yeah.
But we are nowhere near what I'm asking for.
Same.
When people
Yeah.
are freaking out, they're like, they just laid off 60,000 people. And I'm like,
That's it.
It's a good
double that.
It's a good
Like,
start.
yeah, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Triple that. I don't know what you guys have seen, but everything that I have seen in the government, we're 4, 5, 6 times away from where we should be
Yes.
in the radical reduction. We're still going to be increasing our debt this year.
Yeah.
All the cuts that you've seen, we're still going to be in a deficit.
Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. Biden added about 1 million federal workers alone. So if we're cutting 60,000, that's nowhere near 6 or 7
No, add a
figures.
zero to that, and I'm like, all right,
Maybe
we're
then,
we're
okay, that's a
getting
nice
close.
little dent. Yeah, for sure. Dude, I want to ask you about your military affiliation, because I've heard a ton of podcasts, and I think I understand, but I'd like to help me understand what you do as far as active duty, reserve.
Yep.
I know you have a lot of go bags, and you pop up in a lot of hot places around the world. Like, what would you say you do with the military? In what capacity?
Well, on the Title 10 side, I am a traditional M-Day National Guardsman.
Okay.
So like, nothing to read into there.
Yeah.
You know, the pull my NCOERs. Like I actually have to write one this year.
Sure.
You know, get that has to get done, and my rater has to finish it. My senior rater has to make his remarks. You know, like traditional M-Day soldier, weekend a month, 2 weeks a year.
Okay.
And then I have extra in uniform work that is at the discretion of this administration and the Pentagon. So they'll use me for things where, hey, can you go and do a resiliency, mental health? Hey, we just had this cluster of suicides at this base. Would you go and talk about like healthy coping mechanisms, about sleep, tobacco, monogamy? Go send Tim. I'm kind of like an easy button in uniform.
Oh, that's cool.
On the recruiting side as well. And then I have 3 other hats that I'll wear within the government, and depending on how they want to use me, where it's like as a VSO, a veteran service organization, a nonprofit, Save Our Allies, for example, for Israel or Ukraine or Afghanistan was the first time that entity, that organization stood up.
Yep.
You know, the Pineapple Express, that was the headline of the group of contractors and volunteers that went into Afghanistan to help evacuate our allies and Americans out of the war zone.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't do that in uniform. It was not at the time. Our Department of Defense and our Secretary of Defense said that we weren't allowed to go outside of the base, and that we had a lot of really restrictive options.
Sure.
So
you were in civies in Afghanistan.
that's right.
Okay.
In a completely civilian capacity.
Yeah.
But in no rational person is like, well, a bunch of volunteers are able to go into Afghanistan during the peak of the NEO.
You're not going there with a clipboard.
Right, without permission.
Right.
And to a degree, not to a degree, absolute awareness of our government and Department of Defense, as I'm a serving current TS holding, you know. So like they knew what was going on, and there was no showboating. There was no like, hey, I'm going to go be this maverick. They told me what we were going to go do.
Yeah.
We got our lists via Department of State and Department of Defense. So like that was Afghanistan, and then Ukraine happened. Like again, they're telling us which hats to wear, because at the time the prior administration said that uniformed personnel were not going to be in Ukraine, but they clearly needed to have things. So there were contractors and nonprofit contractors that was one of those. Then Israel happened, you know, and then like, thank God Taiwan didn't happen, because that would have been really bad.
I know, they just started like a 5-day practice or something right now, I think.
So I didn't mean to, like, I'm not being vague, but they get to tell me what I'm doing.
That's cool.
And if I'm in uniform, if I'm not in uniform, if I'm a volunteer for a nonprofit, if I'm working for a for-profit,
right,
as a subcontractor, you know, so it's a lot of different things. Ultimately, it's like kind of an easy button to fill a gap that exists as we're figuring out some problems.
I mean, so you're like the ultimate special whatever.
I am not. The people I work with are.
Okay.
I am unskilled, and you're laughing.
Sure.
It's the truth.
Okay.
There are people that they're absolute wizards.
Yeah.
And they make me, I mean, I am retarded, but they look like literal superheroes and geniuses that can navigate the most complex, nuanced, geopolitical conflict, disaster, war zone, crisis, insert whatever, like the worst imaginable place a person could be.
Right.
They're there and they're like, this is
no big deal.
Easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm good. I'm glad to hear that you're in a group like that, because I mean, I think about when I was at like F-22 or F-35 flight test. You know, it's all classified stuff. We're pushing the envelope of the planes, dude. Some of the people there, like the engineers, the pilots, the chief test pilot for the F-22, like all these guys are like, they are so on such a different level. It's like, no, we're not just a special group. It's like these are like superhero people. You know, like Dr. Melville, this guy we worked with, he's an engineer. He was basically a national asset. His brain, like they won't even let him retire. He's like one of those things. Yeah, cool, you're retired, but keep your phone on. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's really neat that happens. You're able to do stuff like that. Afghanistan, we know, was a complete freaking mess. What's something you'd like to share that you saw with your own eyes there? Because I did notice when you were there, I love that you said it, like you weren't there for publicity. You weren't there, you probably didn't give a fuck about if anyone even knew, if I had to guess, you were just there to go help and do whatever you needed to do.
That's true and also not true. As a nonprofit, we exist off of donations.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're there for nonprofit. So, you need people to know about it. Yeah.
I get people throw stones. They're like, oh my God, you took a picture? Like, nobody fundraises unless somebody cares. Like the only way that we were able to be successful in Western North Carolina during Hurricane Helene was because I posted some pictures and it was horrific and it was tragic. And then Jocko Willink and Chris Pratt get on and they're like, hey man, we're going to help out. Let's fundraise. Let's do a cold call. And then tons of people donate. And then I take that money and I go save people's lives.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's
so
awesome.
you could like make fun of me that I'm out there trying to like garner attention or media for something. But the only way that we can go and do these missions are with people that donate to the organization.
Yeah.
The only way people donate is they see us there.
Totally.
It's only the people that aren't doing anything that complain and talk shit and
they're really tough behind a phone and a keyboard.
Yeah. Who's taking pictures over there? And it's like, what are you doing? Like, can you donate? Can you fucking do something? Call your congressman.
I got a spot for you.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I don't, because you have no skills and you're fat.
That's right.
And you're broken, and you're just the only skill you have is to like try to tear other people down that are trying to do good things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See a lot of that. See a lot of that now, especially the veteran community too.
I mean, like I'm on the receiving end of 4 months of that. Dude, evidently everything I've ever done is false.
Yeah.
I was
Your
like,
name's not even Tim.
I was like, I wish Tim put 100 grenades in that bag. That's what you should have said.
Yeah, if I could fit
1,000. I got 1,000 grenades on me right now.
If I could have.
Yeah.
So dumb.
So funny,
so
though.
Ridiculous.
We're laughing about it now, but man, it sucks when you're in it.
Sure, yeah.
Yep. Especially when I really try to make a difference.
Yeah.
Like I have really wonderful people around me. I have a really amazing family, immediate family, and my family, and I'm going to be judged by my kids, by my actions,
Sure.
and I'm held accountable by my brother and my dad and my sister and my brother-in-laws, and they know that I was made to make a difference. And man, if I step on my crank, I hear about it.
Sure.
I don't want to hear about it on my phone in my comment section.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear about it from people that love me and know when I made a mistake. And dude, they call me on it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by you've never held back from putting out whatever you're doing or what you think. And like my friend Sean Whalen says, like when you do like $100 dinner, like you give to the waiter, you might give her $4,500 or a huge tip. And some people are like, oh, you're just posting this for clout or whatever. It's like, no. because we did that and posted it, other people are now doing it. And now there's other waiters and waitresses getting $4 grand, $5 grand, 10 grand tips from this. So like you share the good stuff, you know?
From the server that received that tip.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, I get the feels, you know, like
Yeah.
I could barely keep together sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it happens where they end up with just the right person at just the right moment of their life, and they saved that person. Like that person was going to kill themselves.
Yes.
Yep.
Or death by suicide, which is how we're supposed to phrase it now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like they're next to bankrupt. They're not going to be able to school. They're about to foreclose on their house. Time and time and time again, we see the same story. And these people are there at the right moment. But it's all about publicity, right?
We're aligned. You know, there's something to it. You know, when you're really aligned with a good intention and you're doing this for somebody that you don't even know, like you said, more just comes into the mix. You know, like we did it once in Salt Lake City. We had this guy come out with a hot dog truck, and he came to a party, right? And so we collected, what was it, like $3,500 bucks?
$37,000 or something. It was a lot.
It was that much?
Yes.
Okay, well, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's
It was almost 40 grand.
Handed him like a freaking stack like this.
Yep.
And so, you know, once he kind of wipes the tears away and his wife is there, and he lets us know that, hey, we just found out my wife is pregnant again. And he already has a little one.
Oh my gosh.
And he has this little hot dog truck. So it's just, to your point, it's like, man, when you do things for the right reason, things just seem to get exponentially better.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
Share it.
Yeah.
Share that with people. Inspire other people to do it. We need more of that.
Yeah, build,
You know,
create, help.
Yeah. Actually,
There's
let
plenty
me
of people
correct
that go the other way.
We only gave him like $400. This is for the IRS.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The organization formerly known as the IRS, which no longer exists.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
God.
going to happen soon. Oh, I'm so
I know, dude.
When I said I'm here
God,
for it,
dude.
I'm here for
Yeah.
it. If you defund, you abolish, you eradicate, I'm like,
Yep.
there's barely an besides like national parks.
Yeah.
Besides that one, I
You
don't.
know, it's fucked up too, because whenever the government shuts down, those are the first places they're the only places that actually shut down.
Department of
It's like-
Defense, keep that.
Yeah.
Your job is to keep our borders and keep us safe. And then the stuff on the inside, like infrastructure, like dams and roads and bridges, keep that stuff. And then like the parks that I take my kids to, keep that stuff. Everything else, go away.
Let's talk about
And leave me
the
alone.
Department of Education real quick. You have schools and we have kids and whatnot. So when people see that on the surface, if you're not understanding what's going on, it's like Trump is insane, canceling the Department of Education. What are our kids going to do? What's our future like? But like that's
The
not what
best
the case.
future ever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
explain that.
Yeah.
if
So
you would.
I don't understand how people don't understand that the way. So you have this giant multi-billion dollar organization, this agency that billions of dollars go to, that has nothing to do with where your kids go to school. Do people first understand
No.
that separation?
No, they
so
don't.
the money that funds the Department of Education does not go to your child.
Right.
And the property taxes that you're paying, 1 out of 20 of those dollars makes it to your kid's classroom. So if in any way, shape, or form you think that all of the taxes and all the billions of dollars that are going to the Department of Education have anything to do with education, they don't.
Right.
That's first, full stop. It is an absolute bureaucratic cog in a wheel to keep people in power so they have authority and longer levers to control a populace and control money, and money is power.
Yeah.
And they recognize that, and that's all they're doing. So what would happen? Oh my goodness, the kids won't have lunch at school, or the kid with autism won't have options, or the advanced kid won't have opportunity. All blatant, the total lies.
Yeah.
What will happen is you'll have a way more efficient and effective, conducive environment for education. So how will this work? Do you believe in free market?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The government has not had to deal with free market in education in the past 70 years.
Right.
They have had a monopoly, and anything that they say goes. They can spend money any way that they want. They can have they can launder money back through school unions, back to elected officials. You can waste billions and billions of dollars every single year, not affecting education.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to force the government to compete with free market. So with my schools that obviously are not for everybody. I don't want everybody at my school, and we very cautiously screen who comes through Apogee Strong.
Yep.
If you want to open a school, you're gonna go through a crucible to see if you're eligible to become a school owner. And a Montessori or a kind of classical Christian approach, or insert all of the different great education mechanisms.
Right.
The government is going to have to compete with those. And anytime that you have a free open market, then the best product is going to win, and everything gets better because of it.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how many kind of private schools there are out there. Because my little one is 6; she's in kindergarten. We looked at Montessori. We looked up your schools. Is there one actually here in Gilbert Mesa area?
Yep.
Yeah, we lived like a little too far away, so we couldn't do that one. But she does go to a private Christian school now. I don't think people realize how many are not affiliated with the government.
Yeah.
We have school choice here, so we can take our tax dollars and put it, to her school, and not just whatever schools in our neighborhood.
Yeah, and the public schools get better because of that.
Yes.
So just because the Department of Education gets abolished and defunded and disappears, that will create billions of extra dollars to go directly to where your kid goes to school.
Yeah.
There will be better food because you're going to have RFK Jr. that's going to be like, nope,
Yeah.
those seed oils can't be in here. Nope, that fried food can't be in here. Nope, that red 40 can't
Get
be in
that
here.
soda out of here.
Yeah, get that out of here.
Yeah.
That sugar, get that out. Do you see
right.
that where he was he was at a restaurant and they brought him.
Yeah, he was at the burger joint.
Yeah, they brought him
the milkshake.
A milkshake. He's like, I didn't order this. This isn't mine. Dude, he's jacked for 70.
Yeah, totally.
But all of that money is then going to, via free market and competition, force public schools, and there'll still be plenty of public schools.
Yeah.
But money will also go to specific programs that will be perfect for your kid.
Yeah.
That will be perfect for the kid that's struggling, for the kid that's advanced, for the kid that needs a little bit something extra. Money that will go into school extracurricular activities. We'll get shop back. We'll get automotive shop back.
Woodworking,
Yeah,
shop.
like all the things that have been cut and cut and
Yeah.
cut. Why did they cut shop? Why did they cut music programs?
Right.
Why did they get, well, because they didn't want to actually create somebody that was going to be a contributing member of society. They just wanted another tax mule.
Yeah.
They just wanted another lemming that was going to be another consumer,
Right.
and a consumer that can control. But if you create something that is critically thinking, that can collaborate, that can innovate,
Yeah.
that can build, that thing can't be controlled. It's ungovernable.
Right.
And that was what they're so scared of. And so every accusation that they lob is just completely founded in lies.
Yeah, because when they hear 900 billion or whatever being cut, and it's like, well, that wasn't going there anyway.
No.
That was being wasted. That was being used
On
for things
bureaucrats.
wasted on bureaucrats and wasted on things you can't even fathom. So imagine if even a quarter of that actually went to the schools. Like my daughter's school is a great school, Phoenix Christian College or school. Like they're amazing, but we are still like fighting for grants to upgrade a fence or get new security systems. I'm on their security council there. It's like it's crazy how much these schools have to still fight for basic stuff. And then you look at those numbers, like hundreds of billions of dollars. Like couldn't like every school just get a little bit?
Yeah, it's
you know?
madness.
It's crazy.
And even though I think almost all forms of taxation is theft, I do want to support. Like, but what about the poor people in poor socioeconomic areas? Aren't they going to be more negatively impacted? Like, we can afford to send our kids to private schools. Like, what about those that single mother that can't afford? There will be more money for her school.
Right. Yeah.
There will be more options for their children.
And if we do this thing right in 10, 15, 20 years, we won't have to worry about that because the culture will heal itself.
Yeah.
That's the piece that nobody talks about is like, no. The only reason why there are 70% of all the kids being born right now to single mothers is because our culture is fucking broken.
Yeah.
Like, and that needs to be fixed as we do all this stuff. And it's like, nobody wants to talk about that where, you're saying, the money going to the right schools and all that stuff. And it's like this assumption on the one side that, okay, well, everyone's cool with merit-based. We are. I'm cool with merit-based.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the best being the best. But then you get this other side, that 30% we were talking about before. The 30% of people that disagree that are like, what, merit? You can't do merit-based.
Yeah, you
It has
can.
to be equal. Everybody has to be on the same plane. And it's like, well,
No, it's equal
that sounds
opportunity,
a little
not
too much like communism.
Not
to
equal
me.
outcome.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people don't realize. We don't want equal outcome. Like you got people that are out there like getting after it, doing way more in their life than a lot of other people. Why should you have the same outcome as someone who doesn't even give a shit about doing anything?
Yeah.
We want equal opportunity, not equal outcome.
And with the equal outcome, and there will be unequal opportunity, or there'll be unequal success.
Oh yeah,
In a meritocracy, and
Yeah.
it's supposed to be that way.
it's supposed to be.
good humans that are successful. Elon Musk, he's doing, I mean, he put it all on the line to support, and the amount of money that he gives back and the amount of effort that the vast majority of the high level Doge guys are unpaid.
Right.
They're there for one reason, which is to help America heal.
Right.
They're volunteering. They're living in Washington, D.C. to help.
Yeah.
Like, I know some of them personally. I've been friends with them for a decade, and I know what hell is like, and they're going through it right now, and they're doing it because they believe in this idea.
Yeah.
And they believe in the free market, and they know that if they don't do it now, it will never get done.
Yep.
And you're right. Like, the long game is in play here, and America has to heal.
What are those guys? What do you think their mindset is now? They've been in there for almost 2 months, like doing this.
No, they've been in there since November 5th.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
They started going early.
And I'm very curious, like how like the guys on the ground like feel about it, because they're opening the most dangerous can of worms imaginable. And
they're scared to death.
Yeah, I bet.
There's I don't want to. They're very protective about their identities right now.
They should be good.
And I've traveled overseas. One of them has volunteered and worked in kind of crisis disaster areas, and young. You know, one of the young Dozers, like the big balls kid.
Yeah.
Like one of those.
That was cool. Yeah.
And you know, he has really cool questions about every morning, this litmus test of, am I doing the right thing? Am I attacking the right programs? Am I, another one of my friends that's there, every morning he gets up, he works early, they're working 14, 16-hour days.
Yeah.
Way early, comes back, has breakfast, and then sits and meditates. And he's asking, is my azimuth, is the compass, the direction, as he's running an entire division of Doge, are we doing the right things? And they're questioning, and that's exactly what's supposed to be happening.
Yes.
That has not happened in 60, 70 years.
No. And I'm glad that they're doing it today, because we need the technology, from what I understand. Yeah. Imagine trying to do this, Clinton tried to do this. Obama tried to do it, their own version of it. Yeah. But without their software and AI and these guys that are like super tech savvy, imagine just opening up a book. Hey, Tim, can you let me know where this bank account went to or whatever? Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll have a report in 2 weeks. They could never get anywhere. So this is actually seemingly like the perfect time to do this.
It's the perfect time for a lot of things, and it's a perfect time for radical change in our government. And if we don't do it now, it's not. And I'm not talking like in the next 4 years. I'm talking in the next 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We have to sustain this pace for the next 14 months for us to see the benefit during the midterms. Yeah. So then we can double down again in the midterms, and then really, have super majorities where we can permanently implement this radical change that can't be reversed in the next administration. Yeah,
I'm hoping enough people see it, but I know this to my core now. Like, we cannot have this kind of like woke liberal type person in a position of power, influence, leadership ever again in the government. We just can't. Like, I'm all for having like different viewpoints on stuff, Democrat, Republican, whatever. But like you, like I'm not just a MAGA loyalist, you know what I mean? But what we have seen is such level of corruption that we can't even fathom how deep it goes. We don't even know yet. That's why they're digging and digging and digging.
They're hiding and they're burning and they're destroying.
A little bit.
Deleting.
That document that came out yesterday in that stack of 80,000 things where JFK said that Joe Biden was a traitor.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that. Yeah.
JFK, Junior, when he went down in his plane right after that.
Yep.
I think it's going to take a few months to get a clear picture, as like Australia and Israel have both been named, and like in the declassification that Biden was a traitor, and I mean, so I'm gonna pump the brakes for a little bit, and let some of the dudes with autism really get in there,
right,
and then I'll enjoy reading the summaries.
Did you watch Elon on Joe's podcast?
Yeah,
on Joe Rogan's. Towards the end, when he was saying like, "Hey, it's not just inside trading. There's other things that politicians are doing to get rich," and Joe's like, "Well, what is it?" And that's when he said, "Well, maybe I can't talk about too much."
They're trying to kill him.
Yeah, he's like, if I say that, they will definitely kill me.
Yeah,
that was a pretty eye-opening statement.
Inside trading, the way that politicians do it, I mean, it's almost legal. Like they walk a line,
Yeah.
and they have information that they shouldn't have. They shouldn't be able to financially benefit from being in a position of access to this information and then make investments off of it. I get that. Philosophically, fundamentally, it's wrong, but they're not breaking any laws. So if you want to change that, then they need to. We as the people have to elect people that will go in to change it, to add term limits. What he's talking about is effectively money laundering.
Yeah.
So whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit entity, they say, hey, if you come and vote and do this thing, you will get X. Like you do X, you'll get Y.
Right.
And it looks like Ukraine was a massive money laundering scheme with millions and millions of dollars going back to voting politicians. If you look at USAID, you can see Soros. He's like, hey, I will support this campaign with a few $100,000. The person that they helped elect then goes and approves a USAID fund that goes directly to Open Border Society. Well, guess who owns Open Border Society? The Soros Foundation.
Right.
They get a few $100 million given to their nonprofit by the elected person that they donated a few $100,000. That's a pretty good ROI.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just these giant money laundering schemes. And like even during the Kamala campaign, where she's giving, millions of dollars to this influencer, tens of millions of dollars to this actor or actress or musician, she's just laundering money back to her supporters.
Totally.
It's evil.
It's insane.
It's anti-American.
Didn't she give $7 billion to an NGO that was started like 2 weeks prior or something like that?
I think it's $2 billion. Yeah, Stacey Abrams, I believe.
SOA, Save Our Allies, Heroes Jiu-Jitsu, battling suicide and depression with Jiu-Jitsu, another 501c3, another nonprofit. We have to have 2 or 3 years of perfect books for me to be eligible to ask for like grants or federal funds to help veterans from killing themselves. Wow.
Crazy.
To go and rescue Americans in war zones. I'm like just now becoming eligible to start looking for federal money to support one of our nonprofits. And 2 weeks after this nonprofit's opened, she gets a couple $1 billion. It's like
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you just look at like what the mission is of each. You know, one other thing I wanted to ask you about was the VA when it comes to Doge, because I love what you said the other day. It's like, hey, if we want cuts, we need cuts across the board. We're both veterans. My wife is as well, and like we have no faith in the VA. Yeah. And people freaking out.
I have faith in Doug Collins.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
and his chief of staff and all of the men that are directly immediately around him, they are savages.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're there. They care for veterans and they have given their entire lives in service to veterans.
Yeah.
So like you can throw stones all you want, but I promise that those men at the very top are doing everything that they can to make it efficient, mobile, and effective.
Sure. Well, I agree now for sure. I mean, I've been out for like, how long have I been out? Like 10 years or so, so like up until now, I'm just like, I ain't going to the freaking VA for anything, like, cool, I'll take my disability check. Thank you. But now that it's in there, so like, what have you seen from the inside specifically for the VA? Because I don't really think many veterans are worried about losing a disability check, but there's a lot of,
that's not going to happen.
No, there's zero chance that's going to happen. But when it comes down to cutting VA, like what have you seen on the inside for that?
Yeah. So, they just had 60,000 jobs that have been removed. So what does removed mean? So if somebody's going to be, the way that they're doing it, if you have probationary employees that are part of programs that have redundancy, we don't need that. Like they're saying there's 2 or 3 people doing the same job that is creating intentional friction. Yeah. So you have a VA claim, you go or you're trying to get seen for something, you go and say, hey, I want to see this. And then there's 2 or 3 people that are approving mechanisms for that. The whole Elon approach is he recognizes funnel choke points and he eliminates them, deregulates them, fires the employees. Twitter, SpaceX, both great examples where he goes in, I'm going to get rid of 80% of the company and we're going to be more efficient and more profitable because of it. Right. 80%.
Right.
Let's look at NASA and SpaceX where he goes in, he's like, I can do this for a third of the price, and I can do it way better than you can.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm going to take that rocket, I'm going to land it on top of
I'm
something.
going to grab it with a fucking arm.
In the middle of the air.
Yeah.
And so he's taking that same approach to every single agency, and every director and secretary is using that tool, him and Doge, as a mechanism to become more efficient. And they're trying to become, with efficient effectiveness, especially VA's the greatest example of it, because the second and third order effects of them becoming more efficient and more effective is more veterans are being taken care of.
Right.
The level of care goes up, and that is measurable. So like there's absolutely going to be a curve here that is not going to be perfect, but I promise in 6 months from now, the time to get care is going to go down. The availability of care is going to go down. The number of services and resources that are available for veterans are going to go up.
Yeah.
And that I know that's going to happen. It might take a couple of months, but I know Doug Collins is going to nonstop until he gets what he's fighting for.
Well, you said something key that a lot of people miss is it's not Elon going in and deciding to cut all this stuff. They're giving the data to the secretaries and the guys at the top, and in their departments, they can decide, oh shit, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Let's get rid of that.
Yeah, Kash Patel's like, yeah, send those 400 dudes to Birmingham, Alabama, right? And then Tulsi Gabbard's like, wait, there's a chat group within DNI of in the NSA where people are like talking about chopping off genitals of kids within our national intelligence organization.
Yeah.
Cool. They can pack their bags.
100%.
You know, but like it's just information and data being given to the people that have been appointed and confirmed and are sitting in positions to make the changes that every American voted for.
Yeah. And I think one thing that people don't realize in the civilian sector, let's call it, is you can't do anything shady and keep a security clearance.
No.
Like I still have an inactive top secret from my time at Lockheed. And I never had one, but if I ever had a DUI or even a speeding ticket or a foreclosure or a bounced credit card, late bill or something like that, I'd have to go explain that.
Yeah.
And so when these people are doing these ridiculous things like going to a terrorist, funeral, or they're having these inappropriate chats, all of that is like, you can't maintain a security clearance with that. So like you can't be employed.
Yeah.
You have to have a TS for this job. You can't have a TS anymore because of that. So it's not just that like, oh, we don't agree with their values no, it has nothing to do with that.
They broke the rules.
They broke the simplest rules.
Yeah.
If you want to have access to special programs and government secrets and whatnot, you can't be a shady piece of shit at all.
And they're really, really, people fail in polygraphs.
Yeah.
And not being able to maintain clearances, they're really basic.
Yes.
Like you're not even a good human. Like this is like really, like, are you having sex with whores and gambling overseas? Have you murdered somebody?
Right.
You're like, these are like
these things that need to be knows.
These are really not hard gates to get through.
Yeah.
And
they're not asking you what you had for breakfast and holding you
man.
accountable if you get it wrong,
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Wild.
I'd like to know what are you thinking about Iran right now? Because I love your take on Israel, Hamas, how they've been going at it forever. And Iran has been behind a lot of the people that we have been fighting forever. Yeah. So on one hand, it's like, dude, I don't want any war. We're over that.
I don't want war.
We're over this bullshit. But now I see, Trump kind of talking super hard about Iran, and then Israel, I think maybe trying to drag us into it to help them with Iran. Like, what do you think about that whole freaking mess?
I mean, Israel's been fighting 3 different proxy wars with 3 different entities and organizations that are being funded by Iran.
Yeah.
So like, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis are all funded terrorist organizations by Iran.
Yeah, and ISIS and all that too, we believe, right? Yeah.
So, one, when Trump talks, a lot of what he says and does is positioning to moving to diplomacy and negotiation.
Correct.
Like people take everything that he says as like gospel. Man, he says some stuff because he's going to sit down, he's like, yeah, I'm going to buy Greenland.
Yeah.
You don't think that he's thinking about other things? Of course, he might actually buy Greenland.
Right.
But he also wants to sit down with Denmark and be like, do what you're not doing for NATO.
Right.
Like, I know what you're not doing for NATO.
Yep.
I might take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't
nice
actually
toy.
do what you said you were going to do, which you haven't been doing, I'm going to go take that. Mm-hmm. And he's definitely doing it with Iran. So there's some positioning and some high level diplomatic negotiations in the art of the deal. But also, like, fuck Iran.
Yeah.
They're evil. Not the people, not the Palestinians, I'm not talking about peoples. I'm talking about the evil dictatorship that is Iran.
Right.
And they have been funding every organization that has killed Americans for the past 30 years.
People forget what Iran looked like before they took that country over.
Beautiful.
Too. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
The pictures of, the 60s and 70s in Tehran.
Yep.
Beautiful people, beautiful dresses, beautiful cars. Now it looks like a third world country being ruled by evil dictators. Oh, it is. The ROI on their investments, where they can pay $100 million to Hamas to go and conduct the terrorist attack on October 7th.
Yeah.
And then we've spent hundreds of billions now in that region post October 7th.
Right.
All day long, right? Like they can have this type of war via proxies.
Yeah.
Terrorist organizations, corporations, they can do this for forever, and they have been doing it, and we just cannot keep up.
Yeah.
So we either have to drop the hammer and call it a day, or just get used to rape, torture, and murder of our allies and Americans.
Yeah, the whole Israel thing is it's a fascinating topic, because they're right in the middle of the hornet's nest over there.
Yeah.
And
I'm not like Zionist, pro-Israel, and I realize that both on conservative and like liberal ideas, everybody has their own says on Israel's. Yeah. I'm talking about Iran and terrorism.
Yeah.
And Joe Kent is now at the counterterrorism seat, and that dude is about to. Do you know who Joe Kent is?
No.
His wife Shannon Kent was killed.
Yes,
and Joe
I
Kent
saw him
was
on Sean Ryan.
Yep, working at the CIA.
Yeah.
He's a former Green Beret.
Yep.
He is now the director of counterterrorism for the United States.
Oh, perfect.
Fuck
yeah. That just happened.
What's up, Mr. Kent?
Yeah. And then Sebastian, I think I don't know what his actual title is. He's a doctor that has done counterterrorism his whole entire life. One of the smartest dudes on the planet. Him, Joe, Tulsi are all like in the same hallway.
Yeah.
Just like beyond it's not the Avengers. Like this is like the Avengers with
break glass if fucking
these are the
we
break
broke
glass
the glass.
in emergency.
Yeah.
These are them.
I wasn't planning on asking about Mexico, but why not? Because I mean, all those guys are now overseeing that too. Yep. It sounds like. Like, what do you think is realistically going on there?
With Homeland Security, and I mean,
do you think we're actually going to send dudes down into Mexico?
They're there.
Go fuck these guys up.
They're there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 7th Group is already working with the Mexican government.
Yeah.
So 7th Special Forces
training
Group
or what? Right now.
Yeah. So what the Green Berets do is, we advise and we assist.
Because so many of us are just like, let's just fucking turn it on and go. But I understand.
I tell you, Americans are not ready for that.
No,
because
most are not. Yeah,
the cartels are going to do one or two things. They're going to go to ground.
Yeah.
Or they're going to make it really, really ugly, and they're going to. I mean, here,
right
here on your doorstep.
Yeah,
you don't think that a significant number of the Airbnbs are. That are legitimate businesses are owned by the cartel? They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
And so terrorist attacks in cities like this by cartel members, the wars moving forward are not going to be against uniformed opponents.
Right. Yep.
Like, we're not going to have this big maneuver element of Patton in front of tanks, right? Like, it is going to be against cartels, corporations, nonprofits. It's going to be proxies. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, 100%. The days of uniformed soldiers, I think, it's out.
Is that distracting? we had a kid
we just had some random screaming in the background.
No, I was just talking about the cartel and some kids start screaming outside.
No big deal. That's a kid fit. Like, if you don't know the kid fit, that is not. That was not. I'm in pain.
Nope.
That is not. That is just. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you mean? No, I can't go get an ice cream.
Yep.
That's what that scream is.
Yep. I wanted to take the stairs, not the elevator.
Yeah, that's the sound.
We came in here yesterday, and my little one got a donut, and she's still talking about it. She doesn't usually get stuff like that, but I understand what that scream is like. But you're exactly right. We live here in Arizona, and I think about that stuff all the time. Because we went down to the border with Sheriff Lamb's son, Cade Lamb.
Yeah.
And we did a whole day into the night.
What
down
border
there.
did you go to?
Where the hell was it? It was it's pretty far over to the west side of the border.
Okay.
I forget which one it was.
I can't remember what that little town was called.
It was a little tiny town, but we we rented a truck and everything, and so they don't get your license plate, and we covered a lot of ground throughout the day and into the night, and it was absolutely insane what you saw. We
What year
literally
was
this is just last year.
Okay.
We got glassed from across the border.
Yeah.
It's just
You get lased from across the border.
Dude, it's
you have
nuts.
dudes with rifles shooting lasers at you.
Yeah.
IR lasers. I got deployed to the border in 2022, and peak.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peak
Yeah.
border crossings.
Right.
Complete invasion, and I have photos on my phone of hundreds of people crossing the river at once, all being organized and moved by the cartels. They had bought tickets, these wristbands that were colored, were multiple round trips for them. Each one of them would designate what cartel, which pieces of land they were allowed to move through. I mean, it was a well-oiled machine of human trafficking and drug smuggling. And, where we are now with Tom at ICE, Bongino, Cash Patel, Tulsi, those days are done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
People don't realize how bad the border was. Before I started working with Justin, I actually built most of the wall from San Diego to Arizona.
really?
And I dug all the trench, basically, hung the panels. Like, I was in the excavator hanging the panels as a previous life. It was fun, though. But every single day when we'd open the border up, because we had the old helicopter matting fence up, and we'd weld it shut every night, and we'd open it up in the morning, and every single morning, a couple hundred people right there, same exact thing you're saying, with wristbands and backpacks and all the things, and they just
walk on in.
and can't do anything about it.
No.
And our security, we had a security guy that the company that I was working for hired. He was an off-duty. This is in Tecate, right there on the border in Tecate, and he was a Tecate police officer, and he was off-duty, and he would do security for us, so nobody messed with any of the equipment or anything like that. And he got, I can't remember what they said, but it was a couple thousand rounds put through his car one night, and they just turned him into Swiss cheese, like when they found out that he was working for, whatever. But it was crazy. It was a crazy couple of years doing that. It was wild to see all that stuff.
So I don't know what way it's going to go, but if we didn't do anything, we would not have America in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
And so we did something dramatic, and we have the purse strings have been tightened.
Yeah.
And the cartel will either pivot to new revenue sources,
Right.
they'll disappear and go to ground, or they're going to fight back.
Yeah.
And if they fight back, it's not going to be in the ways that Americans are.
No, this isn't across the Atlantic.
No.
In some unknown country you can't even put your finger on. This is
These are people
right
skinned
here.
alive and hung from bridges.
The cartel likes to go after families and women and kids, and so it's gonna be ugly.
A completely amoral.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
How
old are your kids?
5, 9, and 22 and 23.
Well, I'm pretty close. I have two. I hate to say stepdaughters. It's stepdaughters 24, 25, and then a 6-year-old.
Nice.
Especially the young ones? What do you guys talk about when it comes to maybe stuff like that, or just personal security and situational awareness and stuff? How do you teach these little kids?
I mean, I think they learn the most by seeing.
Yeah.
And so they see vigilance and discipline from me. They see where I park. They see how we walk together.
Yeah.
I use things like 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock when I'm talking to my son. We'll be driving and I'll just, hey, the sun's coming up. What cardinal direction is that? He's like, oh, that's to the east. I was like, well, then if that's coming up on the right-hand side, what is to our left-hand side at our 9 o'clock? And he's like, oh, that's to the west. That's where, it's like, there's just natural moments for us to kind of like check in to make sure like his brain is working. Hey, why am I parking here?
Right.
And if somebody comes up and, I use opportunities where, a panhandler comes up and is like, he actually doesn't need anything, Rolo. He's not coming up to ask for something. He's wanting to hand out one, but then he's also looking for a potential victim.
Yeah.
which is way different than you kind of driving down the road and seeing that guy, like, hey, we buy a ticket, I'll wash your window, give me $2.
Right.
Two very different persons when compared to somebody coming up to try and talk to a 9-year-old.
Yeah, for sure. I do the same kind of games with my little 6-year-old. Like we were just here yesterday running around. She's in the fountain, got soaking wet, but like when we're in situations like that, sometimes I'll just kind of like break, what she's in her little fantasy world of playing in the fountain. And I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? What's this guy over here doing? And she'll, and then she'll start, she's like, it'll just make her look like, she's like, I don't know, he looks kind of weird. Yeah. But I'm not trying to like scare her, obviously, but I just want her to be aware that like not everybody is mommy and daddy or Uncle Adam. Yeah. I'm just trying to raise that awareness with her at a young age.
And I love that you're pointing out outliers on a bell curve.
Yeah.
Here, really easy to figure out what is the median of normal person to be walking around the shopping mall.
Right.
We know what their income is. We know, like the ladder climber. We know which ones are here to work. Which ones are here to shop. And then you see ones where like,
what are you doing here?
Why are you here?
Yeah.
And like, hey, what do you think that guy or that gal is doing here? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know either, which is weird because if they're not here to work and they're not here to shop, what are they here for?
That's right. She asked me a fascinating question a couple weeks ago. She goes, Daddy, where do bad guys come from? And I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I was like, well, they are actually people just like us, but they don't believe what we believe, and they are just bad, and we have to watch out for them. We don't know why a lot of the times, because in her mind, bad guy was this concept of like a different kind of thing. And I'm like, no, this is why I tell her every time if she goes to the store without me, with like my wife or something, like stay very close to mama, and she'll still kind of go. Now she goes, okay, but she'll be like, why? Like, just stay close to mama, because you never know, who's out there. Like, have a good time, but stay with mama. I just put these little reminders in her head. I thought that was such a good question. Where do bad guys come from?
It's a great question. Now in that backpack, I have a rat's tourniquet that my 9-year-old can put on my 5-year-old.
That's awesome.
It's and not. I think people will look at what we're saying and be like, "Wait, aren't you like putting fear into these kids?" Like, no, man, I'm empowering them with power.
Yeah.
I'm giving them sovereignty and authority to think for themselves and to leave. And with that power comes freedom, confidence, and less fear.
That's right.
My kids live a blissful life.
Yeah.
But you have solar generators at your house, and you have like whole house generators, and you have guns, and you have companies that teach people how to be prepared, and kind of prepper survivalists.
Right.
Like, all of the preparation has been done, so we don't ever have to live in fear.
Right.
The whole world shuts down like it did in 2020. Nothing changed about my life.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, my kids did not know that there was a pandemic and the whole world had shut down. They had no idea.
That's awesome.
This is pretty rad.
Yeah.
Like, another day to do fun stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I like to keep it real with my little one, because I feel like that is the best way to build confidence, especially if something does go wrong. Because like a lot of the guys that I know that are like the special operations guys, I know a lot of ex-SEALs. Didn't work with them. I just know them now. And like you, like the calmest, nicest guys. And I think in my theory, it's because the threshold is so high, done such crazy, insane things that when regular things that people panic about happen, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, to see, we're in such a wonderful era of our species where there's nothing to fear.
Right.
And without fear, this past few generations, as anxiety is through the roof and women are taking Zoloft, it's because they've never had anything to actually fear.
Yeah.
And so, guys like Jocko and Sean Ryan, who have experienced really scary moments in their lives, like, this is pretty rad. Like, I get it. You're having a rough day.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's dying.
Right.
Like, nobody's shooting at us. This is a pretty great day.
Yeah.
The guy that was the rock climber in Free Solo.
Yes.
He talked about this where we're in an era where people are creating and fabricating things to be scared of.
Yeah. Right.
Because there's nothing in their lives that causes them to be realistically afraid.
Yeah.
And which I think it's important for people to do hard things, because it levels their brain into kind of rational, real reality.
Absolutely. One of the big things that we do is men's development camp in Sedona every quarter. And we run guys through physical, mental, spiritual, and tactical things to kind of like identify holes in their game,
Yeah.
but to put them through these different, experiences that we have to pay for now because life is so easy.
Yeah.
You can have your food and clothes and everything delivered right to your door without moving. But I think, and I want to ask you about purpose, but I think this is why a lot of men, especially in their prime, are committing suicide or unaliving themselves, whatever we're supposed to say now. I think it's because we're missing we're missing purpose. Even if guys that train all the time, we've talked about this all the time because I felt this. I'm like, well, I train all the time, but I don't really get to apply it for anything. I don't really get to test myself and see if my skills are still sharp or how I'm actually going to operate being under extreme pressure again. And I think a lot of guys, they're just kind of like, well, we don't have an aligned purpose like we did with World War I or World War II or Revolutionary War, any of these things. So it's like, cool, I'm fit, I'm 30, I'm whatever age, and I'm like, I'm ready to do something, and everything's on my phone. Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of guys are checking out early in life or just kind of getting depressed because there's no aligned mission to get with other men and go do something big and fulfill that purpose in their life.
We're more connected than ever before, and we're more lonely than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And men need each other.
Yeah.
Men need community. Men need the friction that exists within brotherhood.
Right.
And they so desperately need purpose.
Right.
And it hurts me when I hear people saying, I don't know what my purpose is. The purpose will reveal itself when you go and start doing work.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to find your purpose, go to church. And at church, you'll find that there's 10 different mission trips coming up. They also work at the soup kitchen. They also go and do counter human trafficking. And all of a sudden, you start volunteering and doing work and doing the hard stuff, and then purpose reveals itself.
Yeah.
And that's an extreme example. You find the woman of your dreams, and I get it, you die for her. Good. That's, as Patton would say, it's your job to kill the enemy, not to die for your country.
Right.
And it's really easy to die for something, but would you do all the work necessary to live for her? Would you get up early? Would you hustle? Would you cold call? Would you go to a camp and be put into uncomfortable positions by men you don't know as mentors to develop as a human?
Right.
Would you do that? No, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
You're a bitch. Either pour yourself into something that's greater than yourselves, or don't. But I don't want to hear you whine about it.
Yeah. You said something, I forget where, but you mentioned you could write down 1,000 things that would help somebody do something with their life instead of being depressed or checking out of life early.
Yeah.
And so tell us about that.
Yeah, this idea that, making a permanent solution to a temporary problem is, I'm going to, death by suicide or these million little decisions of the slippery slope where I'm going to start struggling with something or I'm going to have a moment of crisis, and all of these things that I could have done or could do to improve my life and have a positive effect, everything that you want, all of the sex, all of the money, all of the fitness, all of the muscles, all of those things are on the far side of the hard work that you're just not doing.
Yeah.
Did you go to bed last night? No, you played on your phone.
Right.
Did you get up early to go and work out? No, you stayed up and drank. You're playing video games.
Right.
Do you wanted to go buy a nice ring, but you can't afford it? How many calls did you make this week to try to sell the thing that you're supposed to be selling?
Yeah.
Every excuse is there, but so is the work, and it's always night and day to me. You're gonna do it or you're not.
Right.
And there are millions of little decisions that you make to see that success.
And all those little decisions add up to whether you have earned something or not. That's our whole core thing. Because a lot of people are looking for shortcuts, handouts, stuff like that.
They just don't exist.
And that's a natural thing for people to try to get something easier. But I'd make the argument all day long that if you go through those trials and tribulations and the ups and downs and the failures and successes and lessons learned and all that stuff and actually earn it, you will savor it much more. And you'll keep it, most likely.
Yeah.
So that's why this word is so funny. The first brand that we started was Earn Your Booze. It started that in 2017. And that was aimed at people that drink. It's hey, don't just mindlessly drink or try to create fun out of this bottle. How about make yourself and earn a badass life? And then if you choose to have a couple of drinks, it's just adding to it a little bit. Yeah. But a lot of people turn to the bottle or they turn to these different things to create a great life because they don't actually have a great life.
Yeah.
You know, but at the core of it is earn. And it's crazy how many people push back at that because they think they're entitled to whatever, food, money, you know, body results and love and all this stuff. It's like, no, if you want to be respected and have anything in life, you have to do something to earn it continually. You know, it's not a one-time thing either. So it's a way of life, in my opinion.
And I could not agree more. And we see this over and over and over again, where somebody that is the guy that wins the lottery, that was broke before and is broke after.
Yeah, they're toast.
You know, to the athlete that made it, and then the moment they leave the league, they're back to broke.
Right.
And it's what did they do to earn it, and what did they do to keep it? And it's not like this moment in time.
Yeah.
I got it. You bought a lottery ticket. Like
right.
You didn't earn that.
No, you got lucky.
That's Inversely, the entrepreneur that built it in his garage, in his basement, you know, hired his first employee, hired his first accountant,
right.
You know, has the dollar for the first sale they ever made sitting on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me that guy values what he earned.
Oh yeah.
And every penny that he wants to keep because of it.
100%.
Yeah. It matters.
Dude, entrepreneurship especially is the ultimate crazy freaking game.
Yeah.
You know, like some
It's
of the
hard.
missions, dude, it's insanely hard. Like some of the missions I used to do in F-35, we would have the vice president watching remotely because it was, you know, just really important classified shit. We were blowing stuff up, testing new weapons and all this stuff. And I had a lot of pressure on the line. I was the last signature before a pilot would take the plane.
Ooh.
So if something went wrong, you know, like I'm the first one in the office, you know. But that pales in comparison to even starting like a shirt brand, you know, because when you ditch that security and comfort of, you know, working at a big defense contractor or something like that and jump in on your own and drain your savings and refi your house and still have it not work, you know, and then have people come and go and all this happens, like it is the craziest game to be in business for yourself. So I think really like that earn word specifically has to apply to anyone that's in business.
Yeah.
Like if you get in there and maybe you can get lucky, maybe you can be one of those that just somehow goes viral right away, but like that's not the reality of pretty much any business.
Another reason why I vote with my dollars.
Yeah.
I love supporting. I try to buy like on the shirt side with my businesses. I'm trying to print with, you know, somebody that shares my values. I'm trying to find another entrepreneur, you know, like Cody Sanchez. Have you had her on?
No.
Yeah, you should. She's in Austin.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
She's great, incredible woman, married to a SEAL, and I love listening to her talk about like how you're spending your money strategically and supporting people.
Right.
And you know, she's all about the empowerment of the small business owner and the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it's I'm here for it. Vote with your dollars and earn every penny.
Absolutely. I'd like to ask you about your. You said you're 47. I'd like to ask you about your physical fitness now, because I know you've been in phenomenal shape, say forever. Like you've been a professional fighter in the whole 9 yards. But now at 47, like what is your outlook like for yourself on health and fitness, especially for other men out there?
Yeah, I mean, I want to live forever.
Yeah.
I want to. I want my wife to want me.
Yeah.
I want to walk in the room and her be like, he's hot.
Yeah.
You know, I want my kids' friends to be scared of me. I want I just walked my daughter down the aisle in December.
Nice.
My first
Congrats.
older daughter.
Man.
Yeah,
that's great.
And you know, Scotty,
that poor guy,
her amazing husband. No, he's amazing. He's you know, profound respect and knows that they'll never find his body.
Right.
You know, like my young kids now, my daughter, she recognizes me as an immovable force.
Yeah.
Like when I set myself to doing something, nothing can stop me. If she's on the other side of the concrete wall, there's now a door there. Mm-hmm. There wasn't. Now there is.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that could stop me from getting to her. And so like fitness and physicality now are like tools for the quality of my life. And I want that for forever.
Yeah.
So there, you know, I'm not going to get hit in the head for money again.
Right.
There's significant functional elements to this as I still go overseas and have to be useful. Mm-hmm. You know, but I want to be 90 and people are like, is that dude doing sprints?
Yeah.
Did he just do a box jump?
Yeah.
You know, like, did that guy just deadlift 500 pounds and he's 90 years old?
Right.
You know, like, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Good. I'm glad you said that. That's been my mindset too, because I always wanted to be bigger. Growing up, most guys do. I just want to be jacked and huge and all this, but you feel like shit then. And now I just want my markers in my blood and everything to be healthy. I want to be healthy.
Yeah.
Especially I got a 6-year-old, and I'm like, wow, she's got a lot of life ahead of her. Same thing. I want to be 90. My stepdad is 84, still bicep veins and traveling around and like doing everything.
Yeah.
You would never know it. And I'm like, that's badass.
He challenged me to push-ups the other day. And we started doing push-ups, and we got to 20, and he kept going. I was like, okay, John, shit. You're like 87 years old. Like, all right, let's
awesome.
go.
Yeah, it's cool.
I just did all the game day, like did testosterone checks and like all the hormone markers and figuring out where I'm supposed to be. And I'm like,
it's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like a game.
It feels really good to also get kind of feedback, like diet and sleep and intimacy, things that you have a choice and you have a vote in.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get a report card back, and they're like, especially because I've done a lot of damage to my body.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, you're 10 years younger than you actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I'm like, that is some good news,
Yeah.
Like, how do you have a testosterone level given the things that you've done at where you're at?
Right.
Like, it's a good feeling.
It is really cool. I did a similar thing recently with epigenetics and DNA and all that, and my biological age was kind of on par overall. But a couple of things surprisingly, like sex hormones were like way younger. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a good thing.
Let's go.
Yeah. But then another thing, like my muscle skeletal system was older.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, why? Well, I've been repairing a bad disc forever. Maybe that's part of it. But it's really neat that you can see that. And because the big thing for me was like, why does this thing say 90% more at like likely to have like risk of death? The fuck is that?
Yeah.
And it was basically just like inflammation markers. So it's like, okay, cool. Let's take some things to get the inflammation down, change my diet a little bit. Because most people look in the mirror to try to judge if they're healthy. That's not it. You got to know what's going on inside.
Yeah.
We don't send a fighter jet in the air without running diagnostics, knowing exactly how every system's working. But when it comes to the body, we're like, oh, cool. No, I'm good.
I love how you put that about having like a report card and you having a vote in what those things are. Like that's like a really great way to frame that. Because it's like, yeah, you do get a vote and all that stuff. There's nothing that you could get back on any biomarker or any test or anything that you are not directly responsible for and in charge of. And yeah, that's your fault why you got there. And you can also change it too.
Yeah.
Like,
and by not taking a pill.
yeah.
Because the pill is not earning it. That is
No.
a temporary solution to you not doing the work to fix it.
Yeah.
And to nearly everything. I get it. There are some really extreme examples that are these crazy outliers, but the vast majority in that center section of the bell curve are fixable through hard work.
Yes.
Like you can fix it by diet, with sleep, with exercise.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that like that's the cold hard truth. Get sober, stop drinking, stop sleeping around, go to bed on time, wake up early, go to the gym, don't eat crap. Imagine that. Your life just got way better.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't it wild that people put their body so low on the priority list of what they spend money on and spend time on? It's freaking fascinating to me. It's like, this is the one meat suit we ever get. Like, this is it. And you put everything else in front of it.
I don't think I have a single... Oh, but the shoes. My wife bought me one of the shoes. Go Ruck socks, 5'11". Every single thing that I have on me was given to me.
Yeah. That's
like
cool.
the thing that I spend my money on is my family and improving me so that I can give back to my family. Because that's a wheel. And my well-being intellectually and physically and spiritually are spokes for me to be able to support, provide, and protect my family. Yeah.
So along those lines, you also said at 90 you want to still deadlift 500 pounds. I like that. So a question that is so funny. It actually came over when we were like getting your bio. Like you've been going hard like your whole life. So like what the hell's wrong with you? You know, like men look at you and they're like, the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like he's always fighting, he's always traveling, he's always pushing, he's always doing this. Now he's saying at 90 years old he still wants to lift 500 pounds. Like why do so many guys, in your opinion, like lose that spark? Because we need to keep it. Because otherwise what happens to the body? It atrophies, it dies, it goes away. Same with the mind. You know, so I love that you said 500 pounds at 90. You didn't say I want to still be deadlifting at 90. No, I still want to be lifting 500 at 90. Most guys don't even let themselves consider something like that.
3% of men after the age of 50 will ever sprint again.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That hurts. That is a sad number.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me. I'm no different than you guys. You know, we are gonna be going hard in the paint. Like when I finally pull up to the pearly gates and that busted up vehicle, the fender's falling off, the engine's on fire, and they're like, "Get, come on, bro! Like,
get out of that thing.
You're good, but like, look what you did during the time that you had.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here as lemmings and consumers? Just walking around to try to find the next bag, to try to buy the next watch, to get the cooler car.
Right.
Like the back to purpose. What a purposeless life to live.
Yeah.
When you're just the consumer.
Yeah.
When you're just trying to get recognition and not contributing. Like the best thing you can do is pour yourself into things that matter more than you.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be in the arena. Like one of my favorite things to think about is Teddy Roosevelt talking about the man in the arena.
Yeah,
you have to be playing the game, whatever the game is. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just a spectator and you don't know what it's like to fail or win or train or test yourself. Like, dude, I just want to be in the game and just
It's so funny that now people in the spectator stands think that they are participating because they can drop into a comment section and like throw stones. Like
no, you're not even.
I'm included.
Yeah,
you're not even in the Chiefs.
I made a podcast about him.
Yep.
And like
yeah, good job.
Got you, bro.
Imagine trying to like grow your brand or your name off of tearing somebody else down. What a fucking beta thing to do.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
But I'll pretend like I'm the moral high ground because I'm like holding people accountable.
Yeah.
Like, but this episode's brought to you by my sponsor. Shut up.
Yeah, we don't do that. Our sponsors are ourselves.
Well, you earned it, so like you get to do what you want.
Yeah. Like we like to do what we like to do. And that's it. So what? Do you have another book coming out?
I do.
Yeah. What is it?
I mean, we're a year out still.
Okay.
The Purpose of Pain.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's
kind of in line with Scars and Stripes.
Yeah, Scars and Stripes is a biography of all kind of like the failure points of my life.
Yeah.
This I take a kind of a different approach where I'm taking the truths, the soft truths, the special operations truths, and then I'm specifically both listing historically and personally the moments that were catalysts of change in my life were very, very painful.
Yeah.
Emotionally, spiritually, physically. Like you don't think, watching Yoel Romero get his hand raised.
Oh man.
Like if you don't think that changed me and propelled me and projected me into a rapid transformation of my life.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
If you don't think like going through Special Forces selection and going through the Q course and SEER school, like if that didn't change me into ultimately becoming a Green Beret, like every one of those things, like the when I got cheated on, ooh, she was hot. A few years older than me.
Sure.
Batting out of my league.
Sure.
Like that pain was a good lesson learned. Like that Puerto Rican,
yeah.
I learned.
Yeah.
Dad told me not to put my hand on the stove. Time and time again, I put my hand on the stove.
Right.
I learned. So like it is just part of who we are. Like the only way that we as a species ever adapt is via adversity.
Right.
Yep.
And then we have been in this time of our existence where we've had it so good.
Yeah.
There's not been adversity and we've had atrophy. We've just gotten weaker. We've gotten more depressed. We've gotten more lonely.
Yeah.
And people have been avoiding pain. They've been avoiding struggling. They've been avoiding adversity. And I just think it's so necessary for people to look for hard things to do.
It really is. Even simple things like cold water, that gets a bad rap, but it's like, dude, just do anything that takes you out of your comfort zone.
I love cold water.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I hate it, but like I absolutely
You love what it does.
Yeah,
right?
I got the cold plunge
I
thing.
actually love it.
Yeah.
So I'm an idiot. So I actually love it.
Can't get away from it. If I go anywhere in the world and I'm like, do they have cold water?
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
Norway, I'm in.
Yeah.
Baltic, I'm in.
Yep.
Black Sea, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go to Norway next year, actually, so that'd be great.
It's gorgeous.
I bet it's amazing.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, you're going to fit in well there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, cool. So we got that book coming out, but I'm glad you said you're kind of anchoring your books to difficult things that have gone wrong, if you will, lessons learned and all that. And I love that because, man, you're right. That's where people really grow. Like we just pushed about 50 guys through a workout last week, like a really hard workout after they hiked a mountain. It's like a 45-minute AMRAP, basically, with no rest.
Nice.
And
it was awesome.
But the thing that's cool about that is it's not even physical at that point. It's what you can do with your mind by forcing your body to go to another level. So I just love that you wrote your book about that, because people avoid failures. This is why most people don't really do anything of significance. They don't want to fail. They don't want to get the L, but it's like, dude, that's where all the fucking magic happens. Who cares if something goes wrong? Good. This is my favorite thing that Jocko has ever said. Good. Something went wrong? Good. That didn't work out? Good. This person fucked me over? Good. Because that is where the freaking, again, the magic comes from for you to grow and do more. So I'm looking forward to that book. It's about a year out, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll call you. Be like, Andy, come back on your podcast.
Yeah.
I got a book coming out.
Hell yeah. We'll absolutely do that. Awesome. So one of our main things, we've mentioned it, is helping men. We've really found kind of like that's where we want to hone in: physical fitness, mental resilience, finding their own direction, their own purpose, all those things. What's another thing that maybe we haven't touched on that you've experienced in your life that you want to tell, especially men that are like our age? Because it's easier to talk to young men, in my opinion, because they haven't really done much yet. And here's what we can teach you, lessons learned, looking forward. But guys that are in like their 30s, 40s, 50s that are still kind of like, man, what's going on? What should I do with my life? Like that, I really want to try to reach those guys.
To be a savage. The King David, when he walked into the camp, the king said, "Don't go fight Goliath." Then the king's counselor said, "Man, do you see that guy?" And then the army was like, "He's a giant. He's literally a giant. And he has an extra finger. Like, you're going to die. You're a child." And then his brother's like, "Don't go out there, man. Like, what are you doing? You're going to die." His dad was like, "Don't do it." He went out there. He flung a rock into the dude's face and then chopped his fucking head off. And he held it up for both armies to see.
Yeah.
Did he do that for him? No, he did it for the people. He was actually selflessly putting himself out, sacrificing potentially his own life, even against everybody's advice, because he knew it was the right thing to do, even at his own expense.
Yeah.
And I know that's a brutal way to phrase it, but like sometimes you just have to be the savage that everybody is so scared that you could be, but you just won't do because you're too scared to pull the trigger, because you're too scared to fail, because you're too scared of the work, because you're too whatever. Like, just go and be the savage that your family desperately needs, that your wife desperately needs, that your kids desperately need. We need it.
Just the other day, last week, that same group, I asked them, who are the top savages in here? Who's in the best shape? And there's one or two guys raise his hand, but no, I'm like, why the fuck isn't everyone's hand up? Yeah. Like, even if you don't think you are, like this. So
my hand's up, and if anybody else was up, I'd be like, prove it.
Yeah,
dude,
bullshit.
It was funny.
Let's
it was
go.
the three guys that came up, or 4 or 5 guys, whatever it was. They came up, and I was looking at them. I was like, "How old are you?" 40. How old are you? 55. How old are you? 37. How old are you? And I looked at the other guys, and there's like, there's 30 of these guys are under 20. And I was like, how many of you guys are under, like, in your 20s? And all raise their hand. I was like, fuck all of you. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this dude's
your
55.
Dads are up here?
Yeah, your dad's up here. Like,
what the hell?
Fuck you. You're in your 20s. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, and but again, to that whole point of like, be the savage, right? There's no initiation right now for men in the West. There's no initiation whatsoever. And there's like all the stories and all the
I'm my household.
Right. And
you're right, though.
I grew up without a dad, so I didn't have an initiation. My initiation was 6 days after I graduated high school. I went to Marine Corps boot camp. Yeah. That was my initiation.
That's a great initiation.
So I went straight from mama to holy shit, what the fuck am I doing? And this was in 2005.
Thank God.
Like, yeah, thank God. Yeah. And so there's no initiation. And I'm reading this book right now. It's actually insanely good. It's from the 90s. It's a guy named Robert Bly, and it's called Iron John. And he's like breaking down this like old fairy tale called that's called Iron Jan. It's like this old German Grimm brothers tale, and he's breaking it down about how every single man in history needs to go through these different levels of initiation. And I was like, as I'm reading this book, I'm looking through and like I'm looking through my own life, looking through like the guys that I look up to and my mentors and all these other guys, the guys that I know who are killing it, the guys that aren't, like, and all this stuff. And every single one of them has the same things. It's the same type of thing. It's like, oh, I've been through these initiations. I've been through the hard things that I like forced myself to do, or I had to go through. I grew up in fucking Cuba, or you know what I mean? It's like, and it's we need that. We need that so bad. And it used to just be part of life, and now that it's not, it's like the fuck are we going to do now? And that's why these guys are in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are still, I don't know what I want to do with my life. It's like, well, half of it's fucking over now.
Yeah.
So you better figure it out quick. Like, I love what you said. You're just like, just go do some work.
Yeah.
Like the purpose.
I didn't know.
The purpose will show itself.
The purpose will reveal itself. Yeah. 18, 17, going to Quest to college to become an EMT. And then as soon as I turned 18, I was like, cool, going to the fire academy, right? I still didn't know what I was going to do. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the police academy. And then I'm going to go to FBI. And then I'm going to go to grad school. And then 9/11 happened. I was like, okay, I'm going to the military. But it was constant work as the purpose was revealing itself. And with powerful, incredible men to my left and to my right that were shaping me with multiple initiations. Like the firefighting community has its own, as does law enforcement, as does the military, as does special operations, as does the fighting community.
Yep.
Like when I got to Jackson Winklejohn, like you don't think that Rashad Evans and John Jones and Carlos Condit and Cowboy Cerrone had their own versions of initiation. And like it was the most beautiful, transformative moments. And do you know what was existent in every single one of them? Pain.
Yep.
Pain. Yep. Stop running from it.
Yep. Embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was initiation like with Shrek?
Oh, dude, I love him dearly, and I again I hate when people take things out of context, because you have to remember that I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I met John McPhee, the sheriff of Baghdad, the dude had been a Delta Force operator for a decade, Ranger Battalion before that.
Damn.
And like I'm just thankful he didn't skull stomp me. And not that I'm like this transformed better person now, that I'm like this brilliant operator, but like that when I walked into that team room and he was like, damn, he chose for me to be there, but he probably regrets it. But he, and I 100% agree with him. He just saw that I had a dog in me, and he can teach a dude that has a dog in him how to do tactics. It's way harder to put a dog into somebody and tactics.
Yep.
So it's like I think that's the only thing I had going for me, was I had a chip on my shoulder. Yeah. Thank God he had patience, as did Alex Ortiz and Ben Rios and Carlos and Shane and Mike Thompson and Sean McClure. All of these men that like saved my life. Ariana, I love you.
Where do you think you got that chip from in the beginning? Because if you just remove your name and your face from your bio and just look at MMA, Savage, and all these different places you fought, then you went into Green Berets, you sniper, you do all these different things. A lot of those guys, if you were to look at the archetype for them, are covered in tattoos, kind of crazy, have this story about drugs in their life, and they're just kind of like a crazy person that found a place to direct their energy. Yeah. But you, in my opinion, you're a pretty clean cut guy. You have schools and like you're an entrepreneur, and like I don't see any tattoos. Maybe you have some under your shirt, but you know what I mean. Like you don't look like the person that fits your bio, and I think that's pretty neat, because you don't have to fit into this what the world thinks. I like how you're in a way kind of a sleeper like that. You're the craziest dude around, but you just look like a nice guy, with a collared shirt on.
I'm fast to violence.
Yeah.
I have a pretty quick switch.
Yeah.
It goes back to me sitting in Covina, California, in 1982 Suburban with my dad and my mom and my brother and my sister, and hearing a blood-curdling scream of a woman being assaulted. And my dad, cool as a cucumber. I mean, like, without any stress, no adrenaline, no cortisol. He just looks over and he's like, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And he goes out there and saves a woman. And I'm like, so that's what that looks like. Fast forward a few weeks, and my dad was at a California Narcotics Officers Association seminar, and we're staying at like the cop level hotel, which is like the cheapest place you can possibly get with a single income. Yeah. And I think we're in Anaheim, and somebody comes, knocks on the door. My dad, with his pistol, sitting up against the door, cracks the door open with the chain on. I'm on this side of it, and I see my dad with a gun up against the door.
Right.
Hey, what can I do for you? And the guy's like, hey, my car ran out of gas. He's like, wrong room, bro. Move on. and closed the door. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. So I had the roadmap. So by the time I had my brother, have you seen the Nate Diaz question where Nate Diaz was asked if he was ever bullied?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Dude, this is the most amazing.
Okay, tell me.
All right, so Nate Diaz, he's like, this is a pre-fight interview.
Yeah.
And he's sitting just like this with this journalist, and this journalist is like, hey man, have you you're kind of a weird kid, like you're kind of awkward, you're from Stockton, you talk, that's what he was implying.
Sure.
And like, were you ever bullied? And Nate just like laughs. He's like, no man, I got a big brother. And it was that clear to him, no, that was never an option, but his brother's Nick freaking Diaz, like one of the most frightening fighters in the history of MMA.
Right.
And his brother was Nick freaking Diaz. And I think back to my brother when there was this, literally at our church, at our school, North County Christian School, there was a guy that went to jail for molestation. And my sister was like moving from one classroom to another. I was a kid. I was like 8, maybe 9. Which makes my sister 6 or 7, first grade, second grade. And this youth pastor is like, no, I'll take her. And clearly my brother could read into something and was like, no, wherever Katie goes, I go. And I was like, yeah, I'm the second born. So I'm like 100%, like whatever he just said, I'm here to fight you for it.
Right. Man.
Like I was just down for violence to an adult. I'm 8, 9 years old. Fast forward 2 years, somebody says something slick to my sister at the movie theater in Atascadero, and I put him through a phone booth.
Yeah.
The first time that I heard somebody use the ugly N-word was at the California Mid-State Fair. I didn't even know what it meant, but I was there to fight for it. Like you said that to my friend. I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
Yeah.
But I'm going to beat your ass.
You're going down.
I'm like 13.
Right.
So like that was just there. And a small, for always for my age, so I had to make it up with a little bit of tenacity.
Yeah.
And now that I have like size and a little strength and power and experience, that switch is still there.
Yeah.
And then say something slick to my wife.
Yeah. I love how you smile through it too.
There's
so cool.
It's so cool the way that you explained your dad doing it, where it's like, we'll be right back. Like he's been, we were talking about the, the daydreams before the podcast.
Yeah.
Like he's been daydreaming about that.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't wait until something fucking happens and I can just,
Just think how formative that is to his sons that's sitting there with, like I had my mom and my little sister, and he's just like, I'll just be right back.
Yep.
Just wait in the
What
car.
a lesson to learn,
Yeah.
And it's, you exactly explained, like there's 3 layers of like manhood, right? And I was just reading about this recently, and those 3 layers are red. First is red, which is violence.
Yeah.
It's violence with no skill, with no direction, with no it's just violence, right? It's like I'm a ball of fucking violence, and I don't even know what that word means, but I'm gonna throw you through a phone booth, right?
Yeah.
That's red. And then there's white, and white is skill based. It's okay. I've got this direction, right? And then black is the last one. And this is in one of those fable stories I was reading about. It's like red, white, and black. And black is humanity, where it's now I have a switch that I can flip when I want to. And it's such a cool, like, to just hear you say that, because I was just reading and researching about that literally yesterday. Was like red, violence, and, everybody's in that stage. Some guys start in white, though. I started in white. I didn't have that switch because I grew up a single mom. Like I didn't have that violence switch until later. And it's like you always have to go back to that though.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to go through all 3 and be and the way that it was explained in what I was reading was once you get to that black, and they explain it as like a horse. It's like the red horse, the white horse, and the black horse. Once you get to the black horse, that's where you've earned respect as a man and being able to flip that switch when you need to back to red when you need to. It's cool that you just kind of basically just said that exactly, that exact kind of thing. So,
yeah. Well, Tim, I hope if anyone takes anything away from you when they follow you on social, in my opinion, it's you can do so much more than you realize. Because I am still blown away by, like, every time I go in to one of my accounts and I go follow Tim Kennedy MMA, you're all over the place. You have so many different things going on, and you have all these businesses and charities and all this stuff and you're doing. Keep it going.
Yeah.
And I know you will. I don't have
I'm
to
not
tell
going
you
anywhere.
that. But I'm hoping that more guys will see how much more they are capable of by following you, by listening to this, you know, and by looking up to people that are doing more than them instead of tearing them down. You know, Elon's another great example. Like, the dude is literally putting humans on another planet, and they can't pull their head out of their asses. It's insane.
Join the fight. Like, if you're looking for purpose,
Yeah.
like I'll throw purpose at you. Like, that there is plentiful purpose out there for you, you to find what you need to do for the rest of your life. So, like, don't let that be an excuse for you not doing the work.
Oh, that's good. Okay, then final question then would be, with everything we've talked about and everything that's going on in the world, the guys listening to this, what do you want them to focus more energy on?
If you're faithful in the small things, you can be faithful in the big things. You're never going to rise to the occasion. Like, you're going to fall to your level of training. And obviously one's scriptural and one is very military.
Yeah.
But being faithful in the small things, like, what should you focus on? It is these millions of little things. Like, don't open the bag of potato chips. You know, don't call her back. You're like, you know you're not supposed to. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Get up early. Go to a cold plunge. Get in a sauna. Eat clean. Go to the gym a little bit longer. Find a good mentor. Pick up a good book. Put down the video game controller. Go find a fun fiction book and then a fun biography. Like, but it just goes on and on. All these amazing things that you could do to do work to improve, so you can go and find the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Okay, good. So do more.
Do more.
Right?
Do more.
Do more so you can earn more and enjoy more.
Yeah.
And
Like, that's kind of the whole end thing here. It's not just like earn everything in life and then like that's it. Like, we do that because we want to enjoy the peace in our mind.
They're
and the
not going to
confidence
read
and
my
our energy
resume
and
when
all
I
that.
die.
Right.
In my eulogy, it's going to say how I was as a father, how I was as a husband, how I contributed back to my community. That's what it's going to say. And it's not going to say that I like accomplished this or did that. It's like, he helped.
Yeah.
He gave. He supported. That's what it's going to say for me.
Served.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, brother, it is so good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, brother, let's go.